Hey everyone, Siobhan here. Chatting while driving, music during homework, cooking with Seinfeld. Multitasking is a constant presence in our lives. When it comes to imaginative work, like art, writing, designing, it's tempting to consider multitasking as a brain break or being extra efficient. But experts agree that when you multitask, you might actually be losing up to 40% of productivity. Trying to do two tasks at once hurts your memory, mental organization, and focus. And the key word here is trying. Our brains can't actually do two things at the same time. According to the Harvard Business Review, when we think we are multitasking, we're actually just quickly task switching. That's because our brain doesn't work in parallel. It simply moves between two tasks quickly, which means when we think we're able to focus well on two things at once, we're wrong. Both tasks are suffering. Okay, but it's not all bad. In his TED Talk about multitasking, Tim Harford reframes it as something that's potentially beneficial, but there's a catch. During his talk, Harford coins the term slow-motion multitasking, and this is a little bit different than how we think of multitasking. Slow-motion multitasking is when you work on more than one big project over a lifetime. He looked at the lives of famously accomplished writers, scientists, and researchers and explains that they often had varied interests and focused on different projects throughout their lifetime. Having multiple large-scale projects in rotation allowed these great thinkers to keep things fresh and avoid burnout. It also kept their creative spark alive by exploring new contexts and introducing new opportunities for inspiration that could then be used on alternative projects. So slow-motion multitasking is actually a great thing for creativity, but multitasking, trying to do two tasks at the same time, is not any good. So I've got some tips for you on how to avoid detrimental multitasking. Number 1, block internet distractions. If you're working on a computer, you might not be able to avoid being online, but you can use an extension to block social media. Number 2, rewire your rewards. Instead of multitasking, try monotasking. That's doing one task at a time, but use a checklist and check it off. That'll give you a little rush of dopamine instead of the dopamine that comes from the excitement of doing two things at the same time. Number 3, set limits. Pick a time frame and stick to your task for the entirety of that time frame. Limit the number of concurrent tasks during any given time frame. So for example, instead of writing your novel, reading articles, listening to music, and eating lunch during your break, pick 2 of these to alternate between. Number 4, take breaks. Breaks are important, they will refresh you. Number 5, try slow motion multitasking. Have more than one creative project at the same time. For example, you could be working on 2 novels at the same time, or one woodworking mission and a different graphic design plan. If you hit a creative block, switching to your other long-term creative project will reduce pressure and potentially give you new insight on your original project. I hope some of those tips were helpful for you in terms of avoiding micro-multitasking and going for slow-motion multitasking. Bigger projects, but not in the same exact moment. Remember, when you're approaching multitasking, avoid spaghetti with everything tangled up and go for the waffle. That means don't tangle up lots of different ideas in the same space like spaghetti. Instead, have multiple separate squares that are part of the same sustenance that drives you, the waffle. Happy creating!